One thing, if you don't know about Kino Lorber, I'm going to pull up their website when I'm done too. But like, they're a great place to shop for movies, and especially if you can hit that sale. But the one thing I love about them is on the back here, every single one of them, it'll say the runtime, the year it was made, whether it's in black and white or it's in color. So it's got this one was done in 1964. It's in color. It's 89 minutes. It's an aspect ratio of 1.85, which most people don't care about. And then this was in a mastered in 1020 by 1080p, so it'll look great on high def television. So, but this is the first one I just pulled out, and this was a blind buy because it had Barbara Eden in it, and I'm a fan of the old reruns of I Dream of Jeannie, so Barbara Eden, and this is another. It's a Barbara Eden movie with a genie, so I don't know what this is about, but it just that's why I bought this one. So this was a blind buy. I was really excited about that, and just to pick these up for like $5, $6, $7 and get a lot of great movies, it's just a great thing to do. Because I know some of the bigger ones like Criterion or Arrow Video, those movies are like 30, $35 and sometimes $40. So you got to wait for the once a year half price sale, and you're still spending 20, $22 on these things. So Kino Lorber, it's a great company. Now, Miracle Beach, I've seen this one for years. Never seen it. I don't know what it's about. Obviously, it's a comedy, but I've seen this cover for years, and for $6, I couldn't go wrong. Now, this one, it came out in 1992. It's 88 minutes. It's color, and as far as I know, it's a comedy. Romantic comedy fantasy set in Southern California beach scene, and it stars Dean Cameron, who was in summer school, and that's a good movie too. So this one was a blind buy. Now this one I've had on my radar for a long time, and it's James Cagney, Shirley Jones. I'm a big James Cagney fan. I don't know if you caught the beginning of my my stream when Public Enemy. I clipped out that part of Public Enemy where James Cagney smashes the grapefruit in the girl's face, and I die laughing every time. My 5-year-old daughter thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. So big James Cagney fan. So this has been on my radar for a long time. So I finally got it because it was $7, and it's called Never Steal Anything, and it's another comedy. It came out in 1959. It's in color, and it's 94 minutes. Now, some of these older movies, they have colorized. So I don't know if this one was black and white and then they colorized it. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. But this one is in color now, if it wasn't before. Then I picked up Black Marble. The last year when they did their big sale, I almost picked it up then, but then I was like, I had too much stuff in my cart and I had to weed some things out. And this is the one that got weeded out. So I picked it up this time. It looked kind of funny. It's called The Black Marble. It stars Robert Foxworth, Paula Presence, and Harry Dean Stanton, and directed by Harold Becker. It came out in 1980. It's an hour and 13 minutes, or 113 minutes. It's in color. It's a 1080p and a 2.35 aspect ratio. So this one, it looked pretty funny, and then the cover just looks great. So I was going to try this one out, but I think it's one of those like late 70s, early 80s comedies where it's not like riotous, laugh out loud. It's just kind of more situational comedy. Because I've had a couple of those older ones that say they're comedy, and I'm watching it. I'm like, one, it's a little boring. Two, it's more drama than comedy. This one, I've had it on my radar forever, and I've never seen it in its entirety from beginning to end. I've seen bits and pieces. I've watched lots of documentaries where this movie comes up all the time. And so I've seen bits and pieces of it, but never the entirety. And it's something that I've always wanted to get. And because I'm just like the way I am about physical media, and I just want to go in the store and grab it off the shelf, and I've never had that opportunity. Because I decided to buy these on the internet, and I just did that. This is one that I had to get in my collection. But Nosferatu, I absolutely have been dying to actually sit down and really enjoy this film. Now, this one is one of the few, because it's like a 2-disc deluxe remastered edition, and it's part of their Kino Classics line. So it doesn't match so all the rest of these here, when you line them up on your shelf, they're all uniform. So they all look the same, and then the backs are all the same, format. So this part of their Kino Classics, it's different. So then the spine is different. It's a little bit more, special edition, more boutique. And again, for $7, I couldn't go wrong. And it's something I've wanted for a very long time. So I'm glad I got it. So this one here, right off the bat, it's not set up like this one where it tells you like the ins and outs real quick. But this one I do know is one of the ones that came out of Weimar, Germany, and it was done in 1922. So that is something there, and it's 95 minutes, and they tinted it for color. So it's kind of color, but it's not really. They did some kind of tinting to make it give you the illusion of color. Now this one, never seen it. I've heard about it my whole life, and I've seen this movie poster forever. Absolutely love this movie poster, and it's one of my next movie posters I'd probably get, but I've never seen this movie, and this is why I bought it, because I love the movie poster. So it's 1 million years BC, Raquel Welch. That's just great. I'm not really a big dinosaur guy, but that's a cool movie poster. And, Raquel Welch, she's, the sex symbol from the 60s. Like, you can't go wrong there. So this one I'm excited for. This one came out in 1966. It's in color, 100 minutes, a 1.85 aspect ratio, and it's mastered in 1080p. So it's a high def. So this one's real cool. I'm glad to have this one. Looking forward to it. Now this one, The Wanderers. This is not a blind buy. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I love this movie. This was great. So if you haven't seen it, The Wanderers, it's fun. It's I guess kind of like West Side Story, but not. It's definitely more funny than that. It's not a musical. Then did a 2K restoration on it. So this one is going to look really good on high definition televisions. Came out in 1979, 117 minutes. And just the basic premise here. It says the coolest guys in town, Tully High School seniors Richie, Joey, and Perry run a gang called the Wanderers in the Bronx in 1963. But their experiences are universal: falling in love, surviving high school, defending their turf against rival gangs, formidable baddies, the Dell Bombers, and the Ducky Boys, from acclaimed first novel by Richard Price. So it's based on the Richard Price, who did Clockers. So I think this is based on Clockers. So, but I actually love this movie. It's a fun watch. So this one, 1979. And again, the cover is just great on that. Some of these older movies had way better covers. Like, now the modern movie covers, they're boring, they're bland, they're all the same. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves. So a movie that has a cool cover like that, I'll give it a chance. And even if the movie's not that great, for me, it was worth the watch because the cover was cool. And then if it's not that great, I won't buy it. But that was definitely one I liked. And this one, Conga. This one came out in 1961, 90 minutes. It's in color. For some reason, I don't think it was in color originally, but it might have been. And so this one's a fun one. I never saw it, but I do remember people talking about it growing up, and I just thought how cool it was. And I've never seen it till now. So for $7, I couldn't go wrong. And this is one, again, I absolutely love that cover. And then we had Harold Printer's Homecoming. Again, this is something, it was on their Kino Classics line. I knew nothing about it, but the movie cover. I bought it. It was a blind buy. It was interesting. It wasn't a boring movie cover. So I figured I'd give it a chance. And for, again, being really cheap, worst case scenario, I can put it back on eBay and I can get my money's worth out of it. But this has a US and UK release. So sometimes when they do the US/UK release, a lot of times the film might have been a UK film originally. But this came out in 1973, an hour and 14 minutes. It's mastered in high definition, a 1.85 aspect ratio. And yep, it does. The whole thing takes place in England. In North London, an all-male beehive of inactivity is ruled by a foul-mouthed and iron-fist and abusive Max, Paul Rogers, and his brothers, the priggish palace eunuch Sam. Rounding out the homecoming situation tragedy are the sons, punch-drunk demolition man Joey Terrence Rigby, and the pimp-smart Lenny, played by magnificent Ian Holm. When the prodigal son, Teddy, brings his wife, Ruth, home to meet the family, it unleashes a tangled web of feud and dread, venal family values, and naked neediness. All right, I'm in. Now, this is one that it's been on my radar for a long time. I've wanted it. Huge fan of these guys. I was just talking about Comedy of Terrors, but Peter Lorre, Vincent Price, and Basil Rathbone. So that's the only one I wasn't super familiar with, but the name sounds familiar. So it's another horror comedy starring those guys. And just watching it, it looked funny as hell. Like it seems like Vincent Price is having an affair with Peter Lorre's wife, and he finds out. So then he's going to kill him. And it's and as in the watching the preview and watching them do that, it made me laugh. So I bought it. So this one, it's been on my radar for a little while. Now, this one is a movie. I normally don't like movies like this, but something about it, and I think it has to do with the movie cover. So this movie cover, this one got me, and I couldn't pass it up. So, and I watched it before, and I liked it, and the movie definitely grew on me as I was watching it more and more. But it's definitely a little silly, like a little over the top silly, and maybe if I watched it when I was younger, I might have been really, really into it. But it was DC Cab. So I enjoyed this film. One, I love the cover. Like there's something so cool about that cover. And so for me, I love this. This one came out in 1983. It's a color, 100 minutes, aspect ratio of 185, and mastered in high definition. Now, this one, it's like the worst cab company in the city, and they're always screwing around and doing the wrong thing, and they're robbing people, and they're just stealing their money, and they're doing everything, but then they're going to get shut down or something, and then they got to like turn it around. And to me, this was just a great film. It is dumb, like the opening scene. If you watch the opening scene and you get past that, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's more in the vein, like not exactly, but more in the vein of what I've seen from Airplane. So it's kind of like that, stupid humor, but then they're doing stupid things. So really enjoyed it. Mr. T's in it. Let's see who else might be in this. Let's see, Adam Baldwin, Charlie Barnett, Irene Cara, Paul Rodriguez, Gary Busey's in this. Joel Sanchez, Mr. T, Josie Perez. Yeah, so this one's a fun one. So I picked this one up. I've seen it before, and I really enjoyed it. The Wildlife. Now, this is another one. I missed it. I didn't know anything about it. It came out in 1984. I was 2 years old when it came out, so that's probably why I missed it. But the cover, I really liked the cover. It wasn't boring. It was something, and this isn't the first time I've seen this cover. I don't know if this was the original movie poster or if this was the original cover, because a lot of the boutique movie labels, they will do a repainted cover, like a modern cover, and then they'll put the original movie poster on the inside, and you could just flip out the paper. And Kino Lorber, they don't do that as far as I know. All the ones I've seen, they don't do that. So this might be the original movie cover, and that's cool because like those older ones, I just think they were more fun, more interesting. It's painted, so this was an artist idea of what his idea from the movie should be. So for me, I've always liked that, and just like DC Cab, like somebody painted that. So those were always cool for me. Let's see. Now this one, I'm a big fan of old movies, and so this one stars James Stewart, Julia Adams, Arthur Kennedy, and Rock Hudson. It's called Bend of the River, and it looks like an old Western. So again, I like the guys in it, and the cover got me. So this looks like an old Western, and it just looks fun. Maybe pilgrims trying to set, or settlers trying to get where they're going. Reformed outlaw Glenn McClintock, James Stewart, Broken Arrow guides a band of prisoners from Missouri to Oregon Trail in a new life in the Columbian River Basin. In the Western adventure directed by the great Anthony Mann, and when the settlers are cheated from their supplies and cattle, Stewart crosses rivers, climbs mountains, and outguns greedy hijackers to ensure the survival through the first winter. So yeah, it's a settler story. It's kind of a Western. It's pretty good old actors. Something I'm going to enjoy. Probably one I won't watch all the time, but if I liked it, I'll probably give it a yearly watch. See, in this one, I never picked it up. I remember seeing this at the video stores. I remember seeing the cover. So this one came out in 91, and it's rated R. It's an hour and 20 minutes. 120 minutes. It's in color, and it's called Rush. So Jennifer Jason Leigh, and then Jason Patrick, but then also I don't know why he's not on there. Let's see, who are all these people? Yeah, so Jason Patrick, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Max Perch, Greg Allman, but the one person that should be on here is Sam Elliott. So Sam Elliott's in the movie, but he's not a headliner, but he's on the back cover. So he's another great actor. I love Sam Elliott. So this one, it looks really cool. And before I bought it, I watched the trailer, and to me, it was just great. And it looked really cool, so I picked it up. So this one says, what happens when two cops loving their jobs start living it? And an emotionally riveting, powerful, and unsparring film exposes the plight of two narcotics officers who cross the line and become enmeshed in dangerous and intoxicating underbelly of the drug world. So it's like the cops somehow were undercover or something, and they get involved in the drug world, and then they kind of can't get out. That's what it seemed like to me. So this one looked really fun, and I picked it up. Now this one is one of my favorites. That the trailer is awesome. The movie is awesome. It's just one of them dumb, fun, wacky movies. So this one, it comes on the Kino Classics. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's a Kino put it out, but it's an MGM film. So somehow it didn't get the Kino treatment, and it's got the MGM stuff. So it's the original thing because it's called Chomps. So the dog's the robot. So yeah, this was a Hanna-Barbera slash American International production. So Hanna-Barbera flit the bill for this one. And it's rated PG. And it says the crime rate is going through the roof, and Norton Security's business is going to the dogs. Desperate to save the father's company, Casey Norton, and her fiance, electronics genius Brian Foster, are about to unveil a secret weapon. They have burglars begging for mercy. Chomps, canine home protection system. So it's just fun. And I love the cover. It's a painted movie poster. So for me, that's fun. And just watch the trailer if you're interested. But for $7, I couldn't go wrong with that one. Let's see. And then this one here. This is one of my favorites. So this is you got Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas, and this one came out in 1986, and it's Tough Guys. So they're old mob guys. I think they're mob guys. I haven't seen this since I was a kid. So it's a comedy. Let's see, Hollywood legends Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas star in this upbeat, action-packed comedy adventure sets free 30 years in prison, train robber. Okay, so they weren't mob guys; they were train robbers, and they get out of prison and they're old, so they're dressing like that. But then it's in the 80s, so then everyone's like dressing like they did in the 80s, like stupid T-shirts and the punk kids and the tough guys on the street with the typical 80s style where they had like chains and like they looked stupid, and they're dressed in suits, and then they fight. I remember there's a scene where they try to rob them, and these guys beat up the young kids, and I just remember it being really funny. But yeah, no, this was a good one. Haven't seen it in a very long time, so this was a great pick. So that was my pickup, and that was Kino Lorber. So if you're not familiar with Kino Lorber is an actual boutique Blu-ray label, check them out.